Greetings! My lecture today is called Finding God Within the Gohonzon. This is one of my most important lectures because it is important that you find God within the Gohonzon. Now, while I am a Nichiren Buddhist, I speak as a Black Nichiren Buddhist. The teachings of Buddhism is the world's first egalitarian religion. Buddhism is taught by the Japanese Buddhist Nichiren Sects, the SGI, Nichiren Shoshu, and Nichiren Shu do not teach an egalitarian Buddhist religion as taught by the founder of Buddhism, Shakyamuni. The Japanese, as I have seen, have extricated all of the Black history and culture from the Buddhist teachings. Buddhist religion started with the people of African descent in ancient India. Scientists have found in the Harappan civilization, the ancient civilization of India, in the Indus Valley civilization, there was never a white phenotype in ancient India. So if there was never a white phenotype, how did the Buddha move from black to white? They did it because it was racism. Now, Japanese Buddhist propagation methods in America inherently discriminate against Black people or people of African descent. If you are Black and you practice Buddhism, please understand that there is an inherent racist culture in the Buddhist religion. My lecture today again is Finding God Within the Gohonzon. If you are Black or a minority in America, I suggest that you personally and especially find the God within the Gohonzon. The idea that you are Black in America, you already have an inherent disadvantage. If you not only face racism in Buddhism, in many cases you'll be ostracized or find little or no support in the Black community for Buddhism. You will find that you are in a religion where you are not 100% accepted by Japanese and whites. You will also find that your Buddhist faith will cause you to distance yourselves from your community and many family and friends. As a practicing Buddhist or Black Buddhist in America, you will find that you are in a culture within a culture. And this happens because of the way Buddhism is being taught in America. How does a Black Nichiren Buddhist or any Nichiren Buddhist find peace, love, and acceptance of our Buddhist faith in America? The advice that I can share with any Nichiren Buddhist is that they find God within the Gohonzon. Finding God within the Gohonzon is a Black thing. It is one thing to practice your Buddhist faith with Japanese sects like the SGI, Nichiren Shoshu, and Nichiren Shu, and it's another thing to practice your Buddhist faith inclusive of your Black culture and history. I have yet to hear of any Japanese or white person or anybody who could lay down an explanation of the Gohonzon in Black dialect. I believe that I'm the first person in the world to lay down an explanation of the Gohonzon black style. There is one thing that you must understand about Anthony Elmore. I pray to the gods on the Gohonzon for my knowledge and ability of being able to teach black people and others about gods on the Gohonzon. I do not have such knowledge and wisdom. Much or many of the things that I lecture on are inspired by the gods on the Gohonzon. In my personal life, I found the gods on the Gohonzon, and I speak about encourage others to find gods on the Gohonzon. Now, the question that you may ask, how do you find God within the Gohonzon? The way to find God within the Gohonzon is finding yourself in the Gohonzon. Nichiren Shoshu writes in the Go Show on attaining Buddhahood, quote, "You must never think that any of the 80,000 sacred teachings of Shakyamuni Buddha's lifetime or any of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions and the 3 existences are outside yourself. Your practice of the Buddhist teachings will not relieve you of the sufferings of birth and death in the least unless you perceive the true nature of your life. If you seek enlightenment outside yourself, then you're performing even 10,000 practices and 10,000 good deeds will be in vain." Unquote. Now, in the Go Show, the real aspect of the Gohonzon, Nichiren Shoshu writes, quote, "Never seek this Gohonzon outside yourself. The Gohonzon exists only within the mortal flesh of us ordinary people who embrace the Lotus Sutra and chant Namu Myoho Renge Kyo. The body is the palace of the innate consciousness, the unchanging reality that reigns over all of life's functions. The Gohonzon, life's functions, unquote. The Gohonzon is found only within yourself." Further, in the real aspect of the Gohonzon, Nichiren writes, "This Mandala is in no way my invention. It is the object of devotion that depicts Shakyamuni Buddha, the world-honored one, seated in the treasure tower of many treasures Buddha, and the Buddha who were Shakyamuni's imaginations as perfect as print matches its woodblock. Thus, the 5 characters of the Lotus Sutra title are suspended in the center, while the 4 heavenly kings are seated on the 4 corners of the treasure tower. Shakyamuni, many treasures, and the 4 leaders of the Bodhisattvas of the earth are side by side at the top." Unquote. Now, on the Gohonzon is Shakyamuni Buddha, who is seated in the treasure tower of many treasures Buddha. While this great treasure tower is a metaphor or a story that happens in the far reaches of the universe, the treasure tower of many treasures is your life of the 7 treasures. Now, again, the treasure towers is your life of the 7 treasures. Let's go these 7 treasures. Number 1, hearing the correct teachings. Number 2, believing the correct teachings. Number 3, keeping the precepts or living by a code of moral conduct. Number 4, engaging in meditation. Chanting is a form of meditation. Number 5, practicing assiduously the word. Now, Gongyo means assiduous practice. Number 6, renouncing one's attachments. People get hung up on things or attached to things. When you give up your attachments, you are finding a real treasure. And number 7, reflecting on oneself when you enter the treasure tower, or let us say your God consciousness, you reflect upon yourself. When you come to this Gohonzon, and let us show you the Gohonzon. This is the Gohonzon. And when you reflect upon the Gohonzon, you are reflecting upon yourself. Now, on the Gohonzon, or at least here is Shakyamuni Buddha and many treasures Buddha on the Gohonzon. Now, down the center of the Gohonzon is Namu Myoho Renge Kyo, and the Gohonzon is the treasure tower. Shakyamuni explains in the Lotus Sutra that he attained Buddhahood 100,000 trillion billion years ago practicing the Dharma. Based on our concepts, he explains that he used his supernatural powers to teach Buddhism throughout the universe. He is known as the eternal Buddha. Let us first deal with the concept of the eternal Buddha. Please understand that the most important teachings of the Lotus Sutra is the eternal Buddha. Let me shake the altar up for a minute. We have found from our Japanese teachers, meaning the SGI, Nichiren Shoshu, Nichiren Shu, all of the Japanese sects who teach Buddhism, is a blatant misrepresentation of the eternal Buddha as taught in the Lotus Sutra. When I began practicing Nichiren Buddhism in 1974, I started my Buddhist practice with an organization called NSA, or Nichiren Shoshu of America. At this time, both the SGI Buddhist organization and Nichiren Shoshu organization was one united Buddhist organization. Please understand that the best thing to happen to us who are practicing this Buddhist faith is for the disbandment of Nichiren Shoshu and the SGI. When they broke up, that's the best thing that could have happened to Buddhism. We in America learned enough Buddhism from the SGI and Nichiren Shoshu to become Buddhists. However, many of us were not infected with the biased teachings to the point that we promoted such teachings worldwide. Let me make an important side note. I really want to make a note or point to the super diva, Tina Turner, who, like myself, started practicing Buddhism in 1994. Tina Turner was wise enough, and Tina Turner was careful enough not to have her image used by the SGI or Nichiren Shoshu. She was careful not to let them prostitute her image and bring people into the organizations, because once Tina knew better, she did better, and she stepped away from the SGI and Nichiren Shoshu, and she never let her image or in association with extricated, be prostituted to bring others into the Buddhist religion, because Tina Turner, later, you would see her with that statue of Shakyamuni Buddha because she respects Shakyamuni Buddha. Now, those of us who practice with Nichiren Shoshu and SGI, they believe that Nichiren Shonin is the true Buddha. Now, let us get back to the eternal Buddha. The most devious and misleading acts both the SGI and Nichiren Shoshu did was remove all references in the Gosho or writings of Nichiren Shonin that reference the eternal Buddha. And both the SGI and Nichiren Shoshu teach that Nichiren is the true Buddha, not Shakyamuni. Shakyamuni is considered as the provisional Buddha. In the 16th chapter of the Lotus Sutra, called the Lifespan chapter, Shakyamuni Buddha explains that he used death only as an expedient means to teach you the Buddhist teachings. He explains, if you saw a Buddha all the time, you become licentious or immoral. So he don't let you see him all the time. The Lotus Sutra teaches in the 16th chapter of the eternal Buddha Shakyamuni, Buddha is very important to black people or people who are oppressed. The eternal Buddha Shakyamuni explains that he never died and that he is the father of the world. When it comes to Nichiren Buddhism, the SGI, Nichiren Shoshu, Nichiren Shu, and most of the Japanese sects that we are aware of practice Buddhist teachings inclusive of Asian ethnocentrism and racism, whereas those who are not Japanese or whites are subjected to Asian domination and inequality. However, the true Buddha, Shakyamuni, moves Buddhism to its original place of being an equalitarian religion. Buddhism, as taught by Japanese people, is not an equalitarian religion. In the case of the SGI and Nichiren Shoshu, they came up with the concept of Buddha Nichiren as a way to make themselves an authoritarian masters of the Buddhist religion. As long as a Nichiren is the so-called Buddha, the Japanese people can always be the masters, and they can continue to interject Japanese nationalism into Buddhist teachings. The Buddha Shakyamuni taught us to put faith in the law and not persons. What both the SGI and Nichiren Shoshu teach is putting faith in persons. Let us first deal with Nichiren Shoshu. Nichiren Shoshu came with the concept of Buddha Nichiren, the Gohonzon and successive high priests. This makes Nichiren Shoshu the high priest masters of Buddhism. The SGI has this concept of Nichiren Shoshu abandoning the true law and Sunisawara Makaguchi saving the law, then the next president Jose Toda taking over, and the next president Daisaki Ikeda all inherit the true law. Many people have no formal or no religion at all. When you get down on your luck and you look to God, you don't claim to be an expert on God, but you know that there is a spiritual reality that lives only in the realm of faith. You cannot prove it, but you believe it. You do not know what to call it other than God. Nichiren Shonin teaches in the Gosho that faith is important. In Nichiren Buddhism, we have faith in the Lotus Sutra, and in the Lotus Sutra, and in chapter 16, we learn about one called the Eternal Buddha. The Eternal Buddha says he is the Father of the world, and his mission is to save all living beings from suffering. He explained that he has been around since time before a beginning. Since one is from time before a beginning, he comes before there were any Japanese or white people. And all you have to do is communicate with him through your faith. Imagine these Japanese at Tasekachi telling dudes that they have been around 750 years, and the Eternal Buddha saying that he's been around 100 million zillion trillion years. The SGI have you singing a song praising Daisaki Keita in a song called Forever Sensei, and there's no song praising the Buddha? Imagine any man calling himself a high priest saying he understands the Buddha who has been around since time without a beginning. The Gosho, the real aspect of the Gohonzon reads, quote, the Gohonzon also is found only in the two characters for faith. This is what the sutra means when it states that one can gain interest through faith alone. Period. Unquote. This lecture, Finding God within the Gohonzon, means when you find your faith in the Gohonzon, you are actually finding God. You also find within the Gohonzon the eternal Buddha Shakyamuni. The eternal Buddha Shakyamuni is found through your Buddhist faith, not through some organization, not through some Buddhist teacher, not through some priest. Down the center of the Gohonzon are the words Namu Myoho Renge Kyo, or it is the treasure tower. You are Namu Myoho Renge Kyo, and Namu Myoho Renge Kyo is also you. This is the ultimate and absolute universal law. We are taught that God is omnipotent and omnipresent. What is the one thing in the universe that is absolute or omnipotent or omnipresent? Only the universal law of cause and effect is omnipotent or omnipresent. Since the universal law of Nam-myoho Renge Kyo is omnipotent or omnipresent, that itself is God, and that itself is in the Gohonzon. Recently, just a couple of years ago, science revealed the Higgs boson, or the particles of elementary standard particles in physics known as the God particle. These particles are Myoho Renge Kyo, or cause and effect phenomenon. The phenomenon is found in the Gohonzon. Now, let's get into the Gohonzon. The first character to the right is Many Treasures Buddha. Now, down the center of the Gohonzon is Namu Myoho Renge Kyo, but the first character there, that's Many Treasures Buddha. Now, the first chapter of the Many Treasures Buddha's Tahoe Buddha represents the law, objective wisdom. The 7 treasures are what? Hearing the correct teachings, believing the correct teachings, keeping the precepts, living by the code of moral conduct, engaging in meditation or chanting, practicing essentialistly like the Gongyo, renouncing one's attachments. People get hung up on things, attached to things. When you give your attachments, you find a real treasure. Reflecting on oneself is when you enter the treasure tower, or the God consciousness when you enter or you focus on the Gohonzon. The Gohonzon is your God consciousness. You enter the world of God by putting your faith in the eternal Buddha Shakyamuni that is seated on the Gohonzon to the left of Tahoe Buddha. Right here. Now, this is how you find your God consciousness. Tahoe Buddha represents objective law, or the law, and Shakyamuni represents the person. It is the oneness of the person and the law. Now, on the 4 sides of the Gohonzon is the 4 heavenly kings. They are the protectors of the world and fighters of evil. Each command a legion of supernatural creatures to protect the Dharma. These are the 4 foundations of Gohonzon, and they represent north, south, east, and west, and also winter, spring, summer, and fall. Now, the first God is here on the 4 corners, right there, to the top left. Now, this God is Dai Vishamantenyo. He's a brother. He is called the Black Warrior, or the northern God who represents wealth and collects wisdom to be imparted to others. The real wealth is wisdom. He is in the upper left-hand corner of the Gohonzon. Now we go to Daijokutu Tenyo. He presides over spring. He is in the east and maintains the law or state who represents strength and who always seeks consensus. He is the Lord of the East, the King of celestial musicians, feeders of fragrance. He is often depicted holding a sword and a string music instrument. He maintains an army of musicians to convince you to accept Buddhism with music. He is in the upper right-hand corner of the Gohonzon. You got Bishamon on the left, and you have Daijoku Tenyo on the right. There. Now, in the 15th chapter of Lotus Sutra, innumerable Bodhisattvas emerge from the sky beneath the Saha world with the 4 leaders: superior practice, limitless practice, pure practice, and steady established practice. In common everyday terms, we find in the Gohonzon true self, eternity, purity, and happiness. The one thing that Nichiren Buddhism helps you to do is find your true self. The Bodhisattvas on the Gohonzon who represent your true self is Bodhisattva superior practices, or Namu Jogo Bosatsu. Now, J-O, Jogo Bosatsu, who is Nichiren Shonin, or Bodhisattva superior practices. The Gohonzons help you to find your true self. Nichiren Shonin is the first person to tell us about Nam-Mu Myoho Renge Kyo. He is the 3rd character on the right from the center. This is the center of the Gohonzon, was Nam-Mu Myoho Renge Kyo. You count 1, 2, 3. That is Bodhisattva superior practices. Now, Namu Mo Hingyo Bosatsu, he represents eternity. He is the 4th character from Namu Myoho Renge Kyo in the center of the right side. This is the center, Namu Renge Kyo, the treasure tower, and you count 1, 2, 3, 4. That is Namu Myogyo Busatsu. He represents eternity. Now, let us move to purity. Now, Namu Jogo Busatsu, or pure practices, the sound is the same, but the spelling is different. Now, it sounds like Jogo Busatsu, but the spelling is Jo, J-Y-O, as opposed to J-O. He represents purity. He is the third character from the center, from the left, from center. From right here, 1, 2, 3, there, the third character. He is Jogo Busatsu. Now, he represents, again, purity. Now, we move this, and is represented by Namu Anrugyo Busatsu. He is the fourth character on the left from center. Bodhisattva firmly established practices, Anrugo corresponds to the element of the earth, as has powers of the earth, steadfast, stubborn, nourishing peace. This is happiness, or peace abiding. Please be clear that there is absolutely nothing about the Gohonzon, the Lotus Sutra, or true Buddhism outside your own life. If you try to explain about the Gohonzon outside your own life, it creates the impression in our Christian culture that you are worshiping an idol. When you deal with true self, eternity, purity, and happiness, everyone can understand such a concept. When we say God, such a term is general. Too specific to God or heaven is true self, eternity, purity, and happiness. When you think of heaven, we think of true self, eternity, purity, and happiness. When we practice to devote ourselves to the Lotus Sutra, we bring out our inherent God-like character. Whether you are black or white, Asian or any type or race or human, we all have a Buddha nature. One's race does not make one superior or inferior. We all have a Buddha nature. What does make a difference is our explanation in terms of culture. If I am black, it is easy for me to explain Buddhism via my culture or dialect. We hold that we can teach or communicate to our people better than any person that is not from our culture or our community. On the Nichiren prayer Gohonzon is Namu Jipo Bushin, who sits on the upper left side beside Shakyamuni Buddha. Now, this God represents the 10 directions. That is, east, south, west, north, southeast, southwest, northeast, northwest, up, zenith, down, the dark. Bushin, limitless imagination of the Buddha bodies. Now, right here, beside Shakyamuni, is this God. Now, this God, Namu Jupon Bushin, he is not on the SGI or Nichiren Shoshu Gohonzon. Now, the SGI and Nichiren Shoshu Gohonzons do not have these gods. What you find in these gods is that whenever you make these Buddhas virtuous, they got your back. Now, so there's two gods. You got Namo Zentoku Norai on the upper right side, seated after Tahoe Buddha, right here. And you got Jipo Bushin. So there's two gods that's on the Nichiren prayer Gohonzon that is not on your SGI or your Nichiren Shoshu Gohonzon. Now, let me have a little fun here. Two of my most favorite gods on the Gohonzon are the wisdom kings. And wisdom is very important because Buddhism actually means wisdom. Now, there's immovable, one god called immovable, right here. That's a bija seed. The bija seed. That's another bija seed. That is the wisdom kings. Now, one is called immovable and one is called Crayfield. Immovable is known in Japan as Fudo Myo. He is a brother. He's most of the time you see him as a black person. Now he converts anger into salvation. He is furious, glaring face as Fudo seeks to frighten people into accepting the teachings of Dainichi Buddha. He carries a kurukara, or devil-pursuing sword, in the right hand, representing wisdom cutting through ignorance. Holds a rope in the left hand to catch and bind up demons. And he stops a lot of BS. Now, often the third eye and the forehead is all seeing, often seated or standing on a rock behind, because Fudo is immovable in his faith. Fudo is also worked as a deity who can bring monetary fortune. Also, Fudo's left eye is closed and his teeth bite the upper lip. Alternatively, Fudo is shown with two fangs, one pointing upward and the other pointing downward. Fudo's aureole is typically the flames of fire, which according to Buddhist lore represents the purification of the mind by burning away all material desires. In other words, Fudo Myo helps you to balance yourself. Now, that's the Bija character. Now, to the left, this is the god called Crayfield. He is best known as Azen Myo. Azen Myo is the god of love among Japanese esoteric sects. King of sexual passion, converts earthly desires, love, lust into spiritual awakening. Saves people from the past, from pain that comes with love. Boy, I need this dude here. 3 faces, 3 arms, 3 faces, 3 eyes, 6 arms, typically holding weapons. Often wears a crown of a magical lion. Red body symbolizes the power to purify sexual desires. Often carries a bow and arrow like Cupid. And at the Kakuranji temple in Kamakura. So this God here is the God of love. When you get hung up on love, you get your heart broken, all that kind of stuff, this God here, or you're trying to find love, that's the God you go to help you. Now, 2 things that can knock people down. They are material desires and sex. Now, but you got these 2 gods here that's what they do. They handle your material desires so you don't get crazy and feel you have to have everything in this world to be happy, and sex. And boy, when it comes to sex, I guess, man, I need this God too. Now, these gods change earthly desires into enlightenment. Sometime in life, you may need the big G or Jesus. As they said, man, I need Jesus. But now, most of the time, you really can have these 2 gods here that you find. The Gohonzon is such a beautiful object of worship because it gives you these gods, and you find these gods in the Gohonzon. There are a few people who have contacted us in the Proud Black Buddhist World Association, and a couple of people disclosed to us. They said, well, I'm gay. I don't have no problem with you being gay. In fact, if you are gay, we don't have no problems with your sexuality, because Buddhism teaches you about equality. And if you're gay, you like anybody else, you want to find love and happiness, and there's this God, Aizen, Myo, who can help you find God. So maybe you'll find the perfect mate. That's the beauty of Buddhism, and that it is a religion for all people. So, you find gods in the Gohonzon. So, we have told you a little bit about the gods on the Gohonzon in the Go Show, and we're going to close this out. In the real aspect of the Gohonzon, Nichiren says, quote, "How wonderful, how wondrous it is that around 200 years and more into the latter day of the law, I was the first to reveal, as the banner of propagation of the Lotus Sutra, this great Mandala, that even those such as Nagarjuna and Vasu Bandhu, Tentai, or Mario were unable to express. This Mandala is no way my invention. It is the object of devotion that depicts Shakyamuni, the world-honored one, seated in the treasure tower." That's the Gohonzon in the treasure tower. Many treasures, Buddha, and Buddhas who were Shakyamuni's emanations as perfectly as print matches its woodblock. Thus, the 5 characters of the Lotus Sutra title is suspended in the center. Right there. Now, the 5 characters seen in the 4 corner treasures house, Shakyamuni many treasures, and the 4 leaders of the Bodhisattva of the earth are side by side on the top. Seated below are the Bodhisattvas, including Universal Worthy, Manjushra, the Voice Hearers, including Shariputra, and Madhigayana. Beside them are the gods of the sun and the moon, the Deva King, the 6th heaven, the Dragon King, and Ashura. In addition, the Wisdom King, immovable kings immovable and crave-filled and taken up their stations to the south and north. The evil and treacherous Devadatta and the ignorant Dragon King's daughter form a group. Not only the mother of demon children and 10 demon daughters, who are evil demons that sap the lives of people throughout the major world system, but also the sun goddess, great Bodhisattva Hachiman, and 7 rings of heavenly gods and 5 rings of earthly gods, who are guardian deities of Japan. All various great and small gods, that is, the main gods ranging in rows. How then could the remaining subordinate gods be left out? The Treasure Tower chapter states, quote, "Shakyamuni Buddha used his transcendental powers to lift all the members of the great assembly up in the air. Without exception, these Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and great sages in general, all the various beings of the 2 worlds and the 8 groups who appear in the introduction chapter of the Lotus Sutra dwell in the Gohonzon, illustrated by the light of the 5 characters of the mystic law. They display the dignified attributes that they inherently possess. This is the object of devotion." So, ladies and gentlemen, we have given you a lecture on the object of devotion, and there is so much that you can find, because this object of devotion exists within yourself, it exists within your life, and you got the eternal Buddha, Shakyamuni, who is here to teach you, to guide you. All you have to do is have faith in the Gohonzon. Thank you very much. I never heard of a winter that did not turn into spring. With the Lotus teachings you can overcome anything. to you. It's about the greatness of the Lord true. I never heard of a winter that did not turn into spring. With the Lord's teachings you can overcome anything. I bring a message to you. It's about the greatness of the Lord true. I've never heard of winter that didn't turn into spring. With the Lord's teachings you can attain any dream. There's one thing that I want you to know. To learn the suit you must study and go show.